the Democrats are losing the millennial vote and need to change message. No kidding. According to a Youth Political Pulse poll, found that only a minority, 33% of young Americans, approve of the way Trump is handling his job as president, while the majority believe that the president is mentally unfit, generally dishonest, or a racist. So that should look good for the Democrats, right? But similarly, a Pew Research Center study of the generational gap in American politics, they found, among other things, that millennials have by far the most negative view of Trump, having tumbled from 64% job approval rating for President Obama to a dismal 27% approval for Trump in 20. So they're saying in the first year of their administrations, Barack Obama was super popular, Trump super unpopular with millennials. Okay. It also found that millennials self-identify much less as conservative and much more as liberal than previous generations, supporting progressive stances on economic inequality, global warming, immigration, and racial equality. So it may take liberals by surprise to hear that a recent Reuters Ipsos megapoll of 16,000 respondents found that the Democrats are losing ground with millennials. While millennials still prefer the Democratic Party over the Republicans, that support is tanking. So listen to what they're saying. So this article is saying that millennials are more liberal than conservative, and it's growing that way, and they just detest Donald Trump, yet the Democratic Party is losing them too. What does that tell you? That people are looking for a party that actually represents them, and there isn't one. That's what this is telling me. That while the Democratic millennials, or while millennials are hating on Trump and embracing liberal ideas and policies, they're also DemExiting. It's time, Bernie. It's time. In just 2 years, support for the Democrats dropped from 55% to 46%. Meanwhile, their support for Republicans has remained stable. So what this says, come back to me. So what this is saying is that millennial support for Democrats is dropping off the table. Millennial support for Republicans steady. So what's happening is that progressives, millennials, also see that the Democrats is a graveyard for progressives. So while they're becoming more progressive, they're not becoming more Democrats. The drop in Democratic support among white millennials is roughly the same, 8%. But most of the defectors in that group seem to have moved to the Republicans. So if you're a white millennial and you leave the Democrats, you go to the Republicans. But if you're a minority millennial and you leave the Democrats, you just don't go anywhere. Today, as white millennials support the Democrats as Republicans, 39% of millennials support each party. Just 2 years ago, the Democrats had a 14% lead over Republicans with white millennials. Today, this group favors Republicans over Democrats by a staggering 11%. In 2016, Democrats led white millennials by 12%. That's a big switch. And that's happening during Trump, when millennials see the Democrats offer nothing, that they are the assistants. That's what's happening. So this whole show is showing you that even in the era of Trump, the Democrats are worthless. Why? Because they're owned by the same people that Trump is owned and serves. That's what we're left with. Go ahead, I'll throw it over to my panel. Any comment on that? That's an awesome stat, that the millennials were favoring the Democrats and now they're not by 11%. That's unbelievable. Go ahead.
Well, it's just what we've seen, especially in the past couple years. For a long time, it's been pretty obvious that we have two parties, a fringe right-wing party and at best a center right-wing party. I think that's being a little too generous, even saying center right. And for a long time, I thought, well, maybe if that represents the populace of the country I live in.
It doesn't.
But it doesn't. And to his credit, Bernie Sanders really shone a light on all that.
Yes.
He made us see, simply by jumping on a platform and then doing what nobody expected, he showed all of us, hey, we're not alone. We're actually, there's more of us. There's more. The media tried to tell us we were alone. We're not alone. We're the majority. There's more of us than anyone else. And that's why, like we say, you need a third party.
CNN refers to this show as a far left show. Why? Because we advocate for things that are popular with the majority of people. Single payer. Majority of Americans are for it. Free college, same thing. Ending the wars, investing that money, same thing. A minimum wage, same thing. Most people are for all these things. And how about Wall Street regulation, breaking up the bank? Most people are for these things.
Green jobs.
Green job. This is considered fringe by the establishment media and the establishment politicians. And this is why the millennials are fleeing the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, Bernie tries to prop them up because he wants to run. And if Bernie loses in 2020, then he has wasted 4 years building absolutely nothing. His Our Revolution, we're going to push progressives all over the country. The bluest of blue states is sending Dianne Feinstein, Kamala Harris, and Nancy Pelosi back to Washington. I almost swore again.
Well, how can you not swear at this? You know, and I would just like, I know millennials, you know, have this voice in this position, and you know, I feel like they don't have the access that previous generations had, but we're all in it together and we all feel the pressure of what's happening. And I'm looking at one article and they say that Americans in general, there's like a 37% approval rate of the Democrats. Who approves of the Democrats right now? What have they done? Just in our state in California, I don't see progress being made. I drive down the streets in Los Angeles and I see more and more homeless. I don't see that there's access to higher education. I don't see that there's jobs programs coming here. So I think Democrats, you've lost us.
Are you sick and tired of corporate Democrats as much as we are? Do you think we can have what the rest of the world has? Then come watch the aggressive progressives with us on the Young Turks Network.